What's up YouTube? Welcome back to Koala Gardens. You know, if we can't save the cutest animal in the world, what's going to happen? Luke Kane has been bringing his drone here every year since 2016. So I've compiled a comparison video of what we've seen so far and how much koala habitat has been created in that short time. Watch right through to the end because I bet you're wondering, so what does a koala look like when seen from a drone's eye? Come on with me and let's have a look around Koala Gardens together. Koala Gardens is a wildlife sanctuary on private land. Subscribing helps me bring koalas to you, and liking this video helps me bring them to the whole world. I'm lucky enough to live in the koala's backyard with a wild and free colony on the far north coast of New South Wales in Australia. Check out my Patreon options and come over and chat on my public Discord server. You'll find links for these and lots more in the description below. I'm Katrina, and I'm passionate about saving koalas. If you're not familiar with the layout of the land at Koala Gardens, here's a property map, and we'll keep referring back to it during this video, but the property has been divided into 20 numbered zones and we'll be able to identify just where we are. We're going to start off literally at the front gate to the property, coming in the driveway. So Koala Gardens is situated on a corner and it is within a natural koala corridor in a place called Tuckarimba on the far north coast of New South Wales. You can see my house here and an open grass area at the front of the property, and behind the house you can see the original mature trees that have self-sown now to create a forest of 4,000 to 5,000 koala food trees. Let's watch that happen together. At the moment, we're looking at the property back in 2016. So this footage was taken 5 years ago. So we can see that mostly there was mature trees. You can see some other young trees. You can see tracks that wind through the property, which is where I ride my quad bike each day to be doing my koala spotting. And you can see there's lots of open area between those mature trees. Now we're looking at the property in 2020. So each time Luke came, he didn't film exactly the same views of the property. We had no idea back then that Koala Gardens was going to get to the place that it is now. However, I think that you can see that a lot of growth has happened even just in my front yard area around the house and the driveway. In those intervening years, I've been able to put solar panels on the roof that supplies the bulk of my electricity needs. And here we are heading out to the conservation area of the property, and what a change we can see already. We can still see the tracks that I ride, but they're not as obvious because we have all this tall vegetation and a whole canopy starting. So before we really look a lot at the conservation area outside, let's have a look at what is now the plantation and kindy. This footage was taken at just before the first plantings were done. You can see those darker green dots that are on the grass. So those green dots are the markers where grass has been killed and paint was added to the poison that was used to mark and prepare those areas out. And there's 150 trees being planted in this first stage, and another 150 were planted 6 months later. So these trees are being grown purely to cut regularly to feed koalas in care at Friends of the Koala. This large kadaji tree was later removed once the plantation trees provided enough habitat. The koalas flower resin has been known to accumulate in the hive entrance for our native bees, and it clogs them up and kills the hive. It's now 2017 and the team are back, and they're now removing the tree guards from these young saplings. So these little trees here are only 1 year old, and you can see that mostly they range from about 1.5 to 2.5 meters in height already. We had around a 95% success rate with the trees that we planted. So when the team came back this day, they also planted trees in the 2 or 3 spots where trees had actually died. You can see the height of the trees there, and a different style of tree guard was used on the second lot of plants. That's just how it happened to be. They were using and reusing whatever they had available to them. At this point, the trees are too small to be harvesting from, but I was absolutely stunned by how quickly they actually reached a point where we were able to start cutting them, and now we cut from them every week. It's only 2019 and just look at the difference in the leaves here. This is the year that we actually started harvesting leaf and taking it in and feeding it to the koalas in care. You can see that koala is still there at this stage. This drone footage was taken in May 2019, so this was not long before the real drought conditions started to set in, and I can tell you that later in 2019 this area was nowhere near as green as what it is in this footage. These particular trees here are the ones that have become the first trees in the front of the kindy enclosure. Now it's 2020, and again you can see there's another good metre of height that's been gained onto the top of all of the trees in the plantation area. During 2020 we were harvesting from the trees in the plantation on average once to twice a week for around 5 to 6 months of the year. There's the house and my front yard area heading to the driveway and out the front gate of the property. And now 2021, this was taken in May, so it's only a few months ago. You can see the kindy is very visible there, the fence of the kindy. So we've got beautiful trees that are being regularly cut, and the fence has all been removed and native hedges are being planted all along the boundaries of the property instead of barbed wire fence, making them wildlife friendly. And here we come flying in right over the plantation, the kindy. There's Bullet's favourite great big trees on the right, and we're looking ahead at Bloodwood Gully. Let's check that on the map. The very top corner of the property is zone 16, the kindy is zone 19, the southern side of the kindy is zone 17, and then you can see zone 2 is Bloodwood Gully that we were just flying over to. That's Bloodwood Gully at the lowest centre, and we're moving south towards the rainforest pocket. Let's have a slightly closer look at the kindy. There's around 50 trees there in that kindy enclosure, and it is proving to be an incredible resource for helping rehabilitate koalas. Notice the prominent signage and road painting alerting people on the road that they're in a koala zone. As we now come out the back of the house towards the conservation area of the property, just look at the difference from the beginning of the film where you only saw mature trees and open areas. We now have a forest. We're jumping back in time again to 2016, and we're going to have a look at areas 9, 15 10, 11 and parts of area 12. The green lines on the drawn map indicate the tracks that I ride my quad bike along, and you can see them here. In 2016, once again, there are the large mature trees, and there are just some very small trees dotted in amongst it. What you can see on the lower right are trees that were planted in areas 9, 10 and 11, and they were planted in 2011. So they're now 10 years old, and we're going to see them changing over the years. Only 3 years later, 2019, this tree we're just zooming right into here is the tree that now sits in the soft release enclosure. But you can see the growth in the trees all around. So in 3 years, trees have averaged growing 1 to 1.5 meters each year. So all of a sudden, they're becoming a small forest. You can see the height of these young trees compared to that large mature tree quite clearly. And as we get some height and we fly up over these trees, it is just amazing the difference and how we can actually see that we are looking down on Australian bush. We're not looking down on trees in open grassland. For a large proportion of the property now, it is covered with a canopy. And there's the soft release enclosure around that large tree. And again, moving towards that tree in 2021, and just look at the difference. Thousands of trees all combining to form a true forest. And this is what it looks like when you take a drone over to a tree and find a koala. It's actually not as easy to do as one might think. Luke is an experienced drone flyer, and that's missed in 2016 in a red gum. And guess what? You've made it through to the end of yet another video. So would you write in the comments below, grow me a forest? I hope you enjoyed this look over what's happened here in the last 5 years. Did you hit the like button? Now before you go, there's lots more great video to see, and make sure you've subscribed and hit that notification bell.